Yep. I'm put together a little offensive breakout team. O-line included. Went a little try hard with that, and one tight end, one running back, and three receivers. So let's get into it. Started with the quarterback. Um, and there's so many options for this. I went over every team and all the people that it could be, and I went with Caleb. And it's kind of obvious, right? Like first overall pick, they do so much hype, but I just think it makes the most sense because they just got Ben Johnson, completely redid their own line. They're actually going to have a run game, and I think that's just going to help him so much. It's really going to be, I think, about him playing within the system and you know being okay with taking a check down, which I mean he has been, but kind of more improvise when you need to, not all the time. And I mean, I just got to give a couple shout outs to a couple other dudes that I was thinking about putting. Drake May, I think he's
Yeah,
number two. I think I was the closest to putting him on here. I think he's going to be a dog. Um, I sneaky. I've always wanted Bryce Young to succeed the way he finished last year. I don't think he's ever going to be a star in the league, but I think he could do something. I mean, there's obviously a couple more. Bo Nix, I feel like kind of already broke out. I feel like we know that he's going to be good, and yeah. So those were a couple other dudes that I was thinking about, and there's plenty of others. JJ McCarthy, but he hasn't played. I think he's probably going to be good, but I think Caleb is gonna. I think he's going to be the truth this year.
I agree. And quarterback, I know when we originally decided to do this together, we were going to do Drake May. I like this pick, and even Bo Nix, Broncos fan, but even he can
Yeah,
reach a higher ceiling. But I'll let you go ahead and
100%.
I'll let you go ahead and with Ben Johnson though, there's no telling. I think you said I'll let you get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me
Thirty
see that
first,
PFF
yeah,
page.
31st, man.
Yeah. So he was not. There's a lot of dudes, and obviously, got to preface by saying this. It's not like we're PFF isn't like like we're not getting all of our opinions off of this, but they do watch a lot of tape, and it gives you a lot of information about stuff that you know none of we didn't really know about. And yeah, I think this is just interesting because they just didn't, and it makes sense. He just didn't really have a great year last year, but his situation was so bad and tragic. I think Ben Johnson's going to be such a huge factor in Caleb's success and just the Bears' success. They have Rome, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and I think the icing on the cake is that there's no doubt in my mind that they're not going to go a running back either 10th overall or in the second round, and they have a high second round pick. So I think there's no doubt that they're going to have a run game this year and actually be able to protect him because I feel like every time I watch Caleb, he's getting sacked at least 5 times a game. So I just think all that put together, he's going to be in a really good spot to prove why he was so hyped up coming out of college.
Yeah, and you got to think it's a lock that they get another running back because they did the two headed monster in Detroit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like Caleb. I think if Ben Johnson is like fine with truly handing the keys over to the defense, then I think the offense should be just like what we saw in Detroit. Honestly, they have all the pieces, and honestly, probably more.
yeah. It's going to be weird to see Chicago have a good quarterback.
Yeah,
All right, and then for running back, this was another one where first of all, it's tough because there's so many good running backs in the draft, so you don't know who's going to end up where. We're recording this the Monday before, so
oh
we're
wow.
about 4 days out. But I went Chase Brown, and the reason I did this is because I don't know. I think the Bengals could go running back in the second round. I don't think they're going to do it first round, but my guts tell me that they won't because they kind of have a lot of other things that they need to get. And this dude was I like him. He was pretty solid last year. I was going to put Bucky Irving on here, but part of me thought that he already broke out. That he had 1,500 yards last year, so I don't know how much of a break. Like I think he's going to be better than that, but I kind of thought Chase Brown was more of a he could he could do it type of guy. I know a lot of people might not agree with this, but I think there's a chance they could pound the rock a little bit more. you could see by like what he did position by position. He's versatile too. He had like I want to say 300 yards through the air and 900 on the ground. So he had a solid season. He was their main running back. And another thing that I liked is it was obvious if you watch, but PFF has him because he's going into his third year, so also kind of the prime of his career for a running back. And they had him upgraded a lot, and I think I could see him. Do I think he's going to be one of the best running backs in the league? I don't think so, but I think he'll take another step up into being someone we consider as one of the better guys in the league for sure.
Yeah, and I think something I noticed when I was doing the defense is you got to look at the career grade. He progressed, obviously, but you also got to see where they were picked. Like he was our faces are in the way, but it says the pick up there, round 5, 165.
Yeah.
Like getting this type of production out of a guy at round 5, I mean, that he could retire right now, and that would have been a great draft pick for the Bengals.
100%.
In terms of breakouts, I love this dude. I know he kind of broke out last year, but like you said, they have so many gaps to fill. I don't see them going crazy in the draft for running back, and obviously we'll see on Thursday, but I like this.
Yeah. I went O-line. I ripped right here, and I'll be transparent. I'm not out here watching O-line films, so a lot of these guys are, early first or second year players going into their second or third year, first round picks. But left tackle, you got Paris Johnson, and this is one where PFF, and I do remember last year, Paris Johnson wasn't that great in his rookie year, and he took a step up, a big one this year. I watched a lot of Cardinals games. I don't remember him just getting destroyed ever. And I think this is one of those guys because there's kind of 2 tiers of breakouts, in my opinion, that I kind of put this into. I think that it's like guys that already are really good to solid and are going to be like elite top 5 guys, or kind of the other. Like, I don't think that's Chase Brown. It could be Caleb.
Yeah.
But I don't really know about that. But Paris Johnson, that's like the prime example of, I think this dude, there's a chance he's like a top 5 left tackle next year, that for the next however many years, because he's young. You could see, according to PFF, they have him making a huge jump. And I think he's going to be one of those dudes that is nails on the O-line for a lot of years for the Cards. And they need that because Kyler needs all the protection he can get. He's obviously so elusive, but if they're able to protect him, I think as long as he's consistent, they could be good on offense next year.
Yeah, look at just like Chase Brown, look at the growth from 2023 to 24. And I feel like O-line, you never see like a massive jump in their development. It's such a progression. But
100%.
I like that.
I think that's one of the ones I'm more confident about. At left guard, I got Peter Skoronski, and the reason I did this is he's obviously a high draft pick. I think he was like the 11th pick, I want to say 2 years ago. But the main reason I did this is because their O-line coach is Bill Callahan, who's the son of the head coach, Brian Callahan, and he's a legendary O-line coach. And this dude's talent, I thought about putting J.C. Latham, their left tackle, on here too. But this dude's talent is combined with the coaching. I think year 3 could be a jump. If you go to the PFF, he is not rated that high at all, but this is one of those ones that I'm kind of trusting that there's going to be like a kind of a bigger jump. And this is one where he probably doesn't just become one of the best guards in the league next year, but I think he'll probably be solid. They're getting the second year of their system and situation in there. And, they're going to get Cam Ward, so their offense is just going to look 10 times better. They're going to actually be able to move the ball down the field. So I think overall that offense in general, but I think this guy's going to take a step up right here.
Dude, that little coaching intel you got, that's a big tell in the breakout right there.
Yeah.
I don't even care what these grades say. I think that team has just been so bad for so long. It's hard for the standout guys to stand out.
And I've watched a lot of videos and stuff of like former players and coaches saying that, coaching is so important in the NFL in general, but the O-line coaches are so crucial to the success of them and development, like almost more than any other position, probably other than quarterback. So I just think that's a huge thing just for their whole team in general, or a whole line in general. But I think he's a breakout candidate.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
then this one is a sneaky one, but not really. If you paid attention, he was kind of talked about a lot last year in a good light. It's Zach Frazier of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was a second rounder last year. And I just want to point this out. You're telling me you don't want this guy to be on your offensive line? Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He looks like he's been fucking chopping wood in the forest all off season. He's just going to come back. He's from West Virginia. I looked it up. He went to West Virginia, and he's from West Virginia. So he's on that backwoods. Yeah.
It's a college thing, dude.
I trust this dude. He was ranked as like the fourth. Look at that, fifth best center already. So PFF is high on this dude, but I don't think the general public really talks about him that much. And if I'm going to be honest, I think after this year, I think that he's going to be kind of known as one of the better centers in the league and establish himself. So this one's a little bit more like name recognition, but I think Zach Frazier is a dog. Look at him. Dude, look at that guy.
I love this, dude. A Steelers O-line. I feel like we haven't had a Steelers offensive lineman mentioned like this since Pouncey Brothers.
Yeah.
You know? I like this, Seamus.
Yeah. He's a dog.
I like that you considered that the general public might not know this guy. And I know that's probably a lot for the offensive line. Like there's a lot of people that don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting because also it's not like I'm out here watching the O-line all the time.
Yeah,
but
I was really curious.
It was kind of just what I kind of initially knew a little bit on top of just looking at PFF was a big help in this one. And then at right guard, he plays kind of center, and he played a lot of left guard last year, but there wasn't really a right guard. There was this dude, Cody Mauch, who I kind of want to put him on there just for his picture. He's missing like his two front teeth. But, if you put those two, Frazier and Mauch, next to each other, they're probably grunting on the line and shit like that, freaking people out. But,
that's what you want, dude.
100%. But I put Jackson Powers Johnson. He was a rookie last year. He was another guy that was – I remember last year him and Zach Frazier were considered like the two top centers. And Frazier seemed like he was definitely better, but I think Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be solid. You go to his PFF page.
Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't great according to them. But I think bringing in Pete Carroll, a whole new coaching staff, I'm sure Pete's got a good online coach that he's been around forever and trusts. And I trust Pete. He's a vet in the game, and this just seems like a dude that I could definitely see breaking out, and someone we probably talked about more if they go with Genty 6th overall. So that's who I got at right guard. I don't really have much else to say about him, but I just think he'll end up being solid. I don't think he's going to be one of the best guards in the league next year, but who knows?
He'll be better than 63.9. But I also think him playing center and guard, they're still trying to figure out where he wants to play and where he plays best. So I think when you figure that out and you pair it with Pete and you pair it with potentially Genty or even a running back in the second round if they don't go Genty.
And at right tackle, I went with Joe Alt. This is a dude I mentioned earlier how we kind of looked at it as the two different kinds of breakouts, if you will, is that one could be a star, like a guy that makes the leap up into someone that everyone knows and is really good, or elite top level dudes. And I think Joe Alt falls under that category of just being a guy that he could be the best right tackle in the league next year, and I would not be surprised one bit. He's a Jim Harbaugh guy, and I trust that dude 1,000% with any picks that he has, any players that he brings in for the most part. You could see that he was already great. Like PFF already saw him as pretty solid, but I really think he's one of those dudes that's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler, all-pro dude, and that's someone that we really think about. And then, I'll go to tight end right now.
Okay.
At tight end, I got Tucker Kraft, and there was a lot of options for this. The other main one that I saw was Isaiah Likely, especially if Mark Andrews gets moved on from the Ravens, then I would say Likely's probably even above Tucker Kraft. But I really liked what I saw from this dude last year, and Jordan Love seems to go to him. Like, he had 50 catches for about 700 yards and 7 tuds, I believe, and he was just. I was impressed about how much of a playmaker this dude was. He was all over the field. He's pretty quick, I thought, and got good mitts on him. And I know the Packers have a lot of different weapons and all that kind of good stuff, but it seemed like he was kind of a guy that they went to regularly, and I could see him making another step next year, maybe even sniffing that 1,000-yard mark.
Dude, yeah, I like this a lot. I know a lot of people doing fantasy dynasty drafts and people eyeing the upcoming fantasy draft. They're looking at Tucker Kraft, and I saw that he's taken on a leadership role. Like, he knows he's a veteran on the team and he wants to be a leader. And I know Matt LaFleur is definitely going to be looking to get him the ball more, especially when they're not satisfied at receiver and they have a veteran right there at tight end.
Yeah, look at his PFF page real quick. They didn't really have him. They didn't love him his first 2 years in the league, but I think the numbers that he put up kind of stand for itself. You could see that he just must not be a good run blocker. I can't lie and say that I've breaking down tape of Tucker Kraft run blocking, but as a receiver and what he brings through the air, he's solid, and he was their main guy last year. That's just someone that I think Jordan Love's going to continue going to and building a relationship with throughout the rest of both of their careers.
Something I'll say on his run game, Seamus, is I feel like the Packers are always doing pulls and counters and split zones.
Yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know, a split zone is where the tight end lines up on one side and kicks to the other side and hits the guy that, like a DN, that they would let run free. So a lot of guys don't win that block. The whole concept on the split zone block is to just buy enough time for the running back to get upfield.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard. I don't know if PFF accounts for that, but I feel like I had Josh Jacobs at fantasy, so I was truly locked in on these run plays.
Yeah.
And Tucker Kraft, I didn't see anything worth keeping him out of this breakout range.
Yeah. Honestly. He had 5 snaps at quarterback too. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think those were all tush pushes.
Yeah.
Because they did the little, which is funny because they're the ones trying to ban the tush push. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Same with the Bills. I don't get that. We used it 4 times in the playoffs, but
can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. And then at wide receiver, look at him right there. I picked this picture because he's pissed. He's pissed off coming into this year. He heard everyone saying that Malik should have gone over him, and he had not the best year in all this. He had multiple big games. I think I've always liked Maserati Marv, as they call him, and he's just going to keep growing. Like him and Kyler are a duo that I could see being solid. It's all about Kyler's consistency, but you could bet that Marv's going to be open a lot more this year. Him and Trey McBride are one of my favorite tight end receiver duos in the league, especially if Marv does what I think he can. And this is another guy who I could see. I don't think he'll break into the top 10 next year or people's what they consider top 10, but I think there's a shot. And within the next couple of years after that, he's probably going to be a guy that ends up in the top 10 regularly in people's minds and just puts up numbers year in and year out.
Yeah, I like Marv a lot, and I know you want to see the PFF.
Yeah.
But I think it's more the thing that's holding him back is the scheme. Obviously, everyone was questioning his ability to get separation. But I thought it was more of a scheme thing. Just like Josh Jacobs, I had Trey McBride, and I'm paying attention to the Cardinals. And I know your roommate Kyle is also watching the Cardinals a lot, and you're getting to see it. They're a run-first team. There's 2 tight ends on the field a lot of the time, and it's real easy to sit there and bracket a receiver when it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish they wouldn't be that as much. It was kind of frustrating watching that because James Conner is solid, But I don't know. You got two dynamic weapons and Kyler who can sling the rock around. I don't understand why they didn't go to that a little bit more, but I guess I do understand trying to pound the rock and establish the run game. But I think next year, or at least I hope, they'll lean a little bit more on their weapons through the air. And Marv kind of has a breakout.
Did he get hurt week 6?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm seeing 8 snaps on that one.
Yeah, I definitely didn't bench him, so he had to have. And then my next breakout is another dude. I could see this dude breaking into the potential top 10, and that's Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Nice.
The Seahawks, they lost DK and Tyler Lockett, and I put him in the slot in my formations because he comes out of the slot a lot of the times, as you can see, and he's a great slot receiver. I think him and Sam Darnold coming in together is going to be interesting to see how Sam plays, first of all, but I feel like he's going to make JSN his security blanket and dump it off to him a lot and also just hit him down the field. But I've always kind of been a fan of JSN and kind of known that he was always going to be a dog since he came out of Rockwall, and we were watching him against Allen, and he got his 5th star in that game. After that, and he went off at Ohio State, I always kind of thought that this dude was going to be the truth. And like, look at PFF. It kind of tells the story right there. If don't put all your trust into him, but he was graded a 63 as a rookie, and now he's an 81, and I could see him making that jump into what PFF would consider top 10, but also a lot of people that pay attention to football and whatnot.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at the production over the year too. You go from 63 to 81, and they really had the same receiving core. It's really the same team that they had in those 2 different years.
Yeah.
So
now he's the guy. He's the guy that is gonna, the whole passing game will go through, I would assume.
Yeah, and now the question is, are the defenses gonna shut them down? With scheme or with matchups now that DK's gone, but I think they're gonna compliment him in the draft.
Yeah, and it's also just harder to truly take a guy out of the game if he's in the slot.
Yeah. Well, we got to remember Cooper Kupp too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't know why I forgot about Coop, but if you watch Coop last year, I love Coop. Lunch pail type of guy, he studies the film. I mean, probably watched the most film out of any receiver in the league.
He'll be in there more than Sam, probably.
Yeah, but he definitely. I think he's going to be wide receiver 2 on this team to JSN, and but we will see a lot more movement. I think he's going to be such a versatile dude. And I'm sure since Coop is there, they're going to move him around outside a little bit more, which I like that because he's just getting different looks all over the field.
100%.
Yeah. And then to round it out, it pains me to do this, and I'll tell you why. I was picking between Xavier Worthy and Keon Coleman as my last guy because I think Keon could be the one, but the Bills have been pounding the rock this last year a lot, and I could see him doing it even more. And the way Xavier Worthy ended last year, we were at the Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game, and the way he ended, it was just so electric. There was multiple times throughout the playoffs and just towards the end of the year that I felt like he was just getting so comfortable in the offense and that he was really going to be a breakout this next year. But I kind of think he started to even look really good, like I said, in the playoffs and kind of start his breakout. So I think this is just kind of a continued breakout from the end of last year.
Yeah, and that's another team that's a lot of the production is based off what they do with the scheme. But he seems to be the guy that is the closest to replacing Tyreek, honestly. In terms of style of play, I know Rashid Rice was really good there early on last year. But the quick guy, the guy that handing the ball off to, jet sweeping to. That's this dude. And in terms of fantasy, I think that dude's got a high ceiling as well.
100%. And he'll probably, because your first thought would be, well, are they going to start doubling him a lot more? And maybe so, but they are getting Rasheed back. And, that might make his like the amount of numbers that he puts up next year, maybe not as much, but I think his impact will be felt. And, the Chiefs are going to be on national TV. So this dude's, I could see him turning into a star in the league. And, I mean, he's got them burners. He's fat. Like, he really is. I think he'll be the truth next year, unfortunately.
James, let me ask you this: now that your whole team's up here, other than your offensive line, unless Joe Alt goes out for a touchdown, who do you think has the best fantasy outlook here?
That's a good question. I would probably say either JSN or Marv, because Tucker Kraft is in an offense where there's just so many other mouths to feed, and kind of same with Xavier Worthy, especially because, Travis Kelce isn't going to be probably what he's normally is unless he has just a crazy not breakout, but comeback season, if you will. He's still good, but there's still a lot of mouths to feed there too. And then Chase Brown would be a sneaky one too, but he was pretty good last year as it was. So I think if he could start getting more, big rushing yard games, because he's good at getting catches and whatnot, then he could be one. But I would put Marv and JSN as the two, because I really think, like I said, JSN is like their wide receiver one and just weapon. I guess you got Kenneth, but I think that he's going to get fed from Sam Darnold, and then you got Marv, who I just feel like is bound to make steps up through, honestly, the next however many years of his career. He's still so young. So I think Marv is just going to keep taking steps up, and we're going to look up like 4 years from now, and he's going to be top 10, top 5 receiver potentially.
100%. I like it.
Yeah. Is there any snubs you could think of off the top of your head that you thought would be on here, or that you would have put on here?
I know we talked about Drake May. I know
Yeah.
that QB is really hard. It's honestly probably was the most hardest decision you had to make, other than your research on O-line, probably.
I think Isaiah Likely, if Mark
Andrews is gone, but honestly, I think he's going to shoot up as a breakout at that point, right?
100%.
And even the Ravens run so many tight ends, they might even – the guy behind him might even have a little bit of value at that point. Because they were kind of back and forth in fantasy. Like, if Mark Andrews had a great week, Likely didn't have one, right? And then other way around. But there's a lot of QBs you can go. I know you said them earlier on in the video. A lot of rookies that are going to come in.
That's what made running back so hard. I know I mentioned that, but it was tough because when I was looking, I was like, I feel like half these teams, or maybe even more of them, are going to end up going running back, and they're going to at least split carries, if not take over the backfield.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll probably come back to this breakout type of video after the draft. I know me and you've already talked about that.
Yeah.
But compare Seamus's offense, compare my defense in the other video, and or even who's going to have the better squad 5 years from now.
Yeah.
That'd be a crazy thing. Maybe we come back to this, bro. That'd be
5 years down the road.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna if you're not our friends watching this, which thank you fellas, but we're live streaming on probably Thursday night after the draft, just reacting to it, just chopping it up probably on the YouTube channel, and then we're gonna try to live stream day 2 of the draft on Friday. So if y'all got time to just come and watch it, we're just going to be chopping it up and watching the draft and kind of just reacting to it and hanging out.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some special guests on.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. Well, thanks if you stuck around. We're going to be dropping vids, man. Just pay attention and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, dude.
Oh,
We got
yeah.
so many people. We got so many people. Not so many, but you know what I mean. We got
Yeah.
people watching that aren't subscribed. So just do that, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.